If you've watched one of my videos, there's a very good chance you've seen me talk about learning and how I like to use the channel as a chance for me to learn. Doing every single day, daily drops about sneakers every single day. Sometimes they're shoes that I know a lot about, say an Air Force One, bang, I know tons about that, or an Air Max, they're right there. Right in the front of my head, boom, I give it to you guys straight, very easy. But then other times, there are some videos where I just have to look into a little deeper, and some brands, especially, Nike, it's all out there. Adidas, pretty big, but then you get into brands like Reebok, Asics, Puma, places like that, and it's harder for me to do that. I have to actually dig into it. But the flip side of that hardness is that I get to learn, and I love to learn. It's always been written on my channel overview that one of the reasons I'm doing this is to learn, and that's what today is all about for me. Great to have the branding, great to have the collaboration with the Coca Cola line, but for me it's all about learning about the Gel-Quantum 90 shoe. What's its structure like? What's its design like? What's its technology like? So that's my main focus on this for today, and hopefully what you guys are getting out of that is a great shoe and some understanding of why this is one of the coolest Asics I've seen in a very long time. So without further ado, let's get into this and take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Asics Gel-Quantum 90 Coca Cola. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel です。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today, what's in the spotlight is an Asics. And my most recent Asics was probably maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was a pair, two shoe set called the Back Streets of Japan. Hey, here I am in Tokyo, Japan, so I definitely had to do that video. And in doing that video, learning about those shoes and researching them, I really got to understand about how one of the shoes was all about the sort of nature and the wooden sort of old feel to the back streets of Japan, and then the other one was more about the neon and the bright lights of Tokyo and that kind of stuff. So it's a really nice pack, really great shoe to do, great to learn from it. And then here we are today with another shoe that I'm doing for the first time. I've done a few Asics, I would say maybe in 830 odd days of doing continuous content on YouTube every single day. I would say maybe I've done 10 Asics sneakers. So so that was the most recent one, was the Back Streets of Japan, and then here we are today. It's the first Gel-Quantum I've ever done, Gel-Quantum 90s, and it's the first time looking at them. But there's a lot of crossover between the other Asics and stuff like that I can bring into play, and then there's a few details on this shoe that was great to learn about from the collaboration point of view and from the brand point of view, from the Asics brand, and also the silhouette that is the Gel-Quantum. So so great for me to do that, really happy to do that. But before that, I have a quick question for you guys out there, and it's whether or not I should care. Strange one, because I got, on the same day, I got two really different comments that come like from the full spectrum of comments from one side to the other, and basically people who get me and people who don't. I'm just going to say it that way. I'm not going to be rude about it. And people who get me, there was a guy who dropped a comment that said, "Love your content. Really appreciate that it's not all hype beast, and it's not just like sell, or try to make it more than it is. It's just me telling you my perspective on the shoes." So that was like really positive and really sort of supportive and getting what's going on at the channel. And then another guy wrote, "What's the point of your channel?" And it couldn't be more negative. Like, it's the total opposite to the other one. And I'm like, sort of, should I care? If I care that much about getting positive comments, I should care equally about getting negative comments. But maybe I shouldn't care too much about it. Maybe everybody has their difference of opinion. Or maybe I should be like, oh, okay, that's a point. Maybe I should look into changing things up a bit or mixing it up a bit. So it's always been this way. This is the channel. Hopefully it'll build into something more. And as we get bigger, maybe one of the Tokyo sneaker stores will take notice and they'll say, hey, let me send you some shoes in hand from time to time. But that's just not where we're at right now. I kind of pinned this channel on the Olympics. I was hoping the Olympics would carry it off somewhere, and they've been postponed since last year, and now this year they're having no international visitors like spectators. I'm sure they'll have international participants, so that whole wave that I was hoping to ride is now like a ripple. But the channel's still here and it's still going strong and gradually growing day by day. So I still have that dream of hooking it up with one of the big Tokyo stores like Billy's or Kicks Lab or Worm or somewhere like that. So Skit as well is another beautiful one. So yeah, there's a lot to kind of aim for, and maybe that's just I just have to trust the process kind of thing. So but I'd love to hear from you guys out there on that spectrum, if you're like, what's the point, or if you're like, what, I dig it the way he's doing it. So and I'm going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it right now. So let's get into this shoe and talk about the details on there. First things first, let's get into the technology. And I always talk about the gel technology when I do like gel like threes, for example. So here's the gel technology from Asics, and the whole idea about it is twofold. There's 2 points to the gel. One is the comfort element of it, and the other one is the resilience element of it. So of course over at Nike you've got things like the Air, Zoom Air for example, or Air Max and things like that. And then over at Adidas you've got like Boost technology and things like that. You know, it's hard for a brand to have its own special sort of corner of the market. And what Asics came up with was this gel technology. And what it is it's super comfortable, but it basically it gives you that comfort, that cushion. And the really big important part of the technology, and hopefully it's showing up here, is it disperses the sort of impact forces of your foot when you're out running in these guys, to sort of spread that out across the midsole and the outsole of the shoe so that it's kind of evenly dispersed across the shoe. But equally, the gel itself will return to its original shape and style after that impact. So if you imagine like impact after impact after impact after impact, you know, most things would eventually sort of flatten over time. But they call it, like, scientifically it's called resilience, that a material stays in its original shape regardless of the amount of stress that it's put under. And the resilience of gel in Asics shoes is very, very high. High resilience sort of number on these guys. And that gives you that comfort. It gives you that kind of sustainability is maybe the word, that it's not going to destroy or run out over time. So that's the gel technology. Hopefully that picture behind me here gave you an idea of that, those forces being dispersed across the shoe. And it is a running shoe. Now I had to do, like I said, I did my research on this, and I learned about something that I had no idea, called overpronate. Didn't have a clue what that is. There's overpronate and there's underpronate. It's to do with your foot. That when your foot, you know, impacts the ground, it's supposed to sort of impact flat so that the forces are dispersed. And I think if you overpronate, you favor the inside of your foot, and you're kind of impacting with your big toe more, taking the impact. And if you underpronate, I think it's your small toe, the outside part of your foot, that's taking the impact, which your foot's not designed to do. Your foot's designed to take the impact flat on. And the reason I'm telling you that is because Asics say at their own channel that the Gel-Quantum 90s is for people who have a neutral pronate, neither under nor over pronating. So that's a new thing for me. Didn't know that was a thing, something that serious runners you know, will look for out there. I have run 5 marathons myself. I know it's a while ago now, if you know what I'm saying, and but not as a serious athlete, as a jogger rather than a runner. So that whole, you know, technology side of it and the whole biology side of it, totally gone from me. But what isn't gone from me is whether a shoe is cool or not. And I can get into that with you guys right now. And we'll stay with that gel unit because it's green on these guys, and that's not by accident. That's actually to do with the collaboration more than the brand itself, which is kind of a surprise. You'd look at it and you'd think, oh, okay, that's the gel unit from Asics, and the rest of that red and white shoe is from Coca Cola. But the gel unit being in green is actually a nod back to the OG kind of glass bottles that Coca Cola used to come in, and glasses you used to be able to get with Coca Cola, and that green tint in them. So choosing that green tint for the gel unit on the midsole at the heel is actually very, very deliberate. But the rest of the shoe, like I said, is in white and red. So I might as well come forward from that and have a look at the midsole, and you see it's quite a high-tech looking midsole, lots of durability, lots of cushioning. Again, this is a runner's shoe, even though I don't think anyone's ever going to wear these guys to run. You know what I mean? This collaboration is definitely going to be for streetwear rather than running wear, I think. So, but that midsole there, you've got that kind of segmented effect on there, all in white. And then above that, there's our beautiful Coca Cola branding. And you've got to look at it kind of to get a sense of what's going on. Is that basically there's a lower part of the shoe that's in a knit upper material. And if you imagine that Asics branding, it's like 4-stripe branding, if you know what I mean, 2 sort of horizontal sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's vertical and there's it's horizontal. Yes, it's horizontal. I was thinking parallel for some reason. The 2 horizontal ones and the 2 vertical ones in the sort of Asics branding, and they're on top. They're like a cage, and if you removed them, you'd be left with like a knit upper that's all one red, beautiful knit upper. But on top of that, you've got the cage on both the lateral and the medial sides. And on the lateral side, you can see that 4-stripe branding cage has got the Coca-Cola branding on it. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys some little angles that just take in a little back back end of the medial side of that Asics branding, or right from the heel section looking through, and you can see the lateral side where it's got the Coca Cola branding, and then the medial side, when you see, you can tell it's very, very different. The white that makes up the medial side on that cage sort of unit on there on the medial side is just, it's white. The 4 stripes that I'm talking about are all in white on the medial side, whereas on the lateral side they're actually a red base with the white Coca-Cola branding on it. Point being, the Coca-Cola branding is not on the medial side. Where it is though is on the heels, and if you go back to have a look at the heels, you'll see this is a unique place for the Coca-Cola branding, because they've gone for a sort of, it's almost orange, it's red, orange on orange instead of being white branding on red. Sorry, it's on red. So instead of being white branding on red, it's red branding on red, or orange branding on red. So that's a unique feature of the heels with that Coca-Cola there. And then as we sort of look down onto the insole, you can see it's the white on red, standard kind of branding. And I'm kind of surprised to get to the tongues and see that they just went with Asics and they didn't actually go with something Coca-Cola up there. But it does say Asics in white on that red background again. And then continuing our sort of journey forward, you get to the lace stay in the middle of the lacing system, and you can see it's just that tiny little square of fabric to hold the laces sort of centered on your foot, rather than they kind of slip to the sides without it. It's red again with that little white silhouette of the traditional Coca-Cola bottle. So it's you know, branding, in terms of the branding, you've got that Coca-Cola all over the lateral side, and then a couple of small hits on the heel, on the insole, and then on the lace stay, but not on the tongue on these guys. So so all in all, it's a great looking shoe. Great, the technology in there, you know, it's one of the sort of kind of higher end technologies, if you like. You know, it's definitely more unique, if you like, than Air, for example. It's Air branding. You know, you even see it on like knockoffs. My boss came in with a pair of 4-stripe Adidas, so they weren't, you know, 4-stripe Adidas, and an Air unit on the back of them, and it was like, whoa, okay, so that's where Air is. But gel, you know, they don't. It's a lot harder to sort of imitate gel. Let's put it that way. So, but a great looking shoe, a great looking story. Great to be able to look into a shoe that I'd never looked into before, find out about the technology and its purpose and its function, and then also the hits of branding on there and why it's actually a great looking shoe, as well as a great, you know, structure and built shoe. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. Hopefully you appreciate it every day. Going back to what I said about those comments before, I'd love to hear from you guys out there what your perspective on this, all the way from what's the point of your channel to thank you very much for your channel. I appreciate it very much. So maybe you're somewhere on that spectrum. Would love to know. For now though, it's time for me to sign off and just do what I do at the end of every single video. I think this is day number 838 or something like that of consecutive YouTube content, and I'm hoping to get to at least 1,000 days without a single day miss. So we're getting there little by little. So with that being said, I'll just do what I do at the end of every single video, which is remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.